Good afternoon, everyone. This is CPS Boxing News Inc. from the city of New York. Now we're going across the country, all the way to Las Vegas, Nevada, with Czarina, one of the professional boxers from local, area in Las Vegas. Czarina, how are you? I mean, tell us, how's everything with you? How's your day going?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing well when it comes to me. I mean, I'm pleased and also satisfied that I have you. This is our second time, and of course, I would love to continue, more interviews, but sometimes, time doesn't, fit in our schedules. And when it comes to our schedules, I seen that you've been working hard. You posted a few videos and things like that. Recently, you won a title that was in Mexico. Tell us about this title that eventually you won, and of course, it's an achievement for your career. How was it for you?
Yeah, so my last fight was in Mexico. I fought Canelo, and that was a really good and interesting fight. She was very tall. She was so tall. She was like 5'10", 5'3", and I'm short also. It was interesting because it was my first time fighting someone so much taller than me. But she was like a pretty good sport about it, and being able to like win that fight, I made history and like being the only person to have two titles of UBO and like hold two titles in two different weight classes for the UBO at once. So it felt really good to like make that achievement. I honestly didn't even know until I think after I won the belt, and then they were like, "Oh, like you made history," and I was like, "I did?" Like I had no idea. So that was like really cool. It was a really good, it was a really good opportunity for me. But ever since then, I've come back home to Vegas, and I just signed with Split Team Management, so I'm doing business now with Brian Cohen, and I think it's going to be really good for my career moving forward, and that was a good stepping stone for like what's to come.
Hey, congrats! I mean, Serena, it's amazing how you achieved this goal in your career, and also being part of history and women's boxing, and of course in your area where is Vegas, and of course your family. I'm pretty sure that they are very proud of you. I mean, having an athlete like you, I mean, Black Rose, it's always on fire. I mean, you just mentioned this is the first time you had an opponent a little bit more taller than you, but hey, you got skills, and I'm pretty sure you'll be ready one day for a world title. How, talking about world title, how do you think you are close to that, to that chance? Because eventually in women's boxing, sometimes it only takes a few fights, and then boom, jump into to the next level, to the next platform. I mean, they just offer opportunities, and there are be like women's athletes that they say, I'll take that. It's now or never, because sometimes to come another chance, it's a little harder. So how come, how close you feel like is your time in order to reach a world title in your weight class?
So I feel like I've always been ready for the opportunity, like since I turned pro. But as far as like how close I think I am to actually getting those fights, I think I'm as close as I've ever been at this point. Especially now that I'm signed with Split Team Management and I have Brian on my side. He has all these connections and people that he does business with in order to make these fights happen and get me these opportunities a lot easier than, I would have been able to do it, with just me and my dad, because obviously, Brian is a skilled vet, and he's met so many girls, and there's so many girls in addition to me now, and he always gets them the best opportunities, and he's working hand in hand with me and my dad at all turns. What do we want? What's our goals? And he's here to help us do that. Now it's not us, it's not all on our shoulders. Like, we have somebody who actually has an end for us to be able to get these opportunities sooner than we initially had thought that it would happen. So I think I'm as close as I've ever been, and hopefully I can get that going this year.
That could happen. Am I gonna say maybe soon, because eventually you have a great team. You just mentioned your the person that is helping you in your career. It's like a family. I would consider that, because eventually he wants you to go in a right in the right direction in order to that he can make the best moves, and then you can come and reach an opportunity to go for a world title. That's amazing how women's boxing it is, because I mean, for guys sometimes it takes like 15, 20, and they could be, you know, in their career 20 something, and then finally they reach for the world title. But in your case, that could be, you know, something different, and I'm glad that you've been working, being focused on that, and what can I say, you know, always wishing yourself the best, and of course every female athlete out there. And Serena, talking about history, women's history, I know you've been a witness, Serrano, Taylor, Erica Cruz, Serrano as well, Alicia Baumgartner, and other great champions, great athletes. But what do you think about like now, this era, seeing women's boxing performing, you know, great cards, being main events and things like that? What do you think of that? You know, do you ever picture yourself one day, you know, feeling this kind of energy? Because that's a energy that on me, I cannot even explain. You know, you're standing up in front of so many people, you know, in the Madison Square Garden, you know, and maybe in O2 Arena in Vegas, Nevada. Have you ever pictured yourself on that? And what do you think also on women's boxing?
Yeah, so I think that, you know, the progress that women's boxing has made since I turned pro in 2019 has been amazing. Like, we've grown so far because I turned pro at a time where, like, quote unquote, women's boxing was dead. So, like, to see it come back the way that it had, like, the point where now there's, like, all women's cards, or, like, women are main events on cards, like, big cards, and people are coming out, like, supporting, you know, the sport of women's boxing, to see these women, you know, that is an amazing thing to be a part of, and it's an amazing thing to see. And I also get a little bit of that myself, you know, in Mexico, because I've fought there now, and I've been fighting there, and I have, you know, my own fan base there, and people who come out and drive, like, they'll tell me, like, I drove hours to come see you fight, like, I've been here 3 fights, and, like, that makes me feel really good, you know what I'm saying, because, you know, that's its own community over there. And so, like, I have those experiences there, you know, myself having those experiences here in the States as well. But I think that, like, the progress that it's made in such a short amount of time has been, like, a lot more it was expected. You know, a lot of people told me when I turned pro that, like, maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should try to do something else, because, you know, when boxing was dead, like, and now, you know, to be, like, I stuck with it, and to see, like, now everybody is coming out and supporting it and watching it and wanting to see it, it's like, you guys told me to give up, and I didn't. And now it's coming into fruition that I saw happening, you know, and it's like, nice. Like, this is what I've been working for, to get to the spot where, you know, everybody is supporting it. And so I think that it's, like, just an amazing experience to be a part of.
Wow, amazing when it comes to a strong movement, because I can tell you that all over the, you know, all around the world now, women's are so much interested in boxing. I mean, I've been, you know, doing interviews and asking this type of question, you know, what makes you to become a professional boxer and things like that, because every female athlete, believe it or not, has a different story. Some of them they're sad, some of them they're happy. I never heard, to be honest, a story. There is a Mexican boxer that she says that her dad and her mom put her as a punishment to start doing boxing, and guess what? She picked up boxing as her career, because she said that she was too much trouble in school and things like that, and they said, I think we're gonna kill her energy, putting her in boxing so she can receive a few punches and things like that, and maybe she's gonna stop, you know, behaving. But guess what? She turned as a professional, and she liked it, and I was like, whoa, what a punishment.
I've never heard of that before. So,
I'm telling you, I was like in shock when I heard that, and she says, my dad and my mom, I think they did it a great job. I mean, they thought I was gonna quit and things like that, but it never happened. Talking about quitting, I mean, I congratulate yourself because you have faith, you have your own beliefs in what you go on to pursue. Because with these people said to you, no, I mean, not an offensive thing, but I guess they said that you shouldn't do boxing. But guess what? Look, two championships that you carry. It's amazing how you sacrifice time. Many things I would say, birthdays and parties and things like that. But I'm glad to see you now. You made history also for your family, for your community, and for women's boxing as well. Because believe it or not, I think your name is already wrote in the history, and of course it's gonna be amazing when people go back and then you be older and then they be asking you, oh wow, how you started, how was this, and then of course you're gonna sit down or do an interview like the way we're doing talking about now. Serena, it's April, and we coming soon, very in a few days, and that's it's amazing how this fight it was in the beginning just a thought, but finally it's here. I'm talking about Gervonta Tank Davis against Ryan Garcia. Tell me, describe me, what do you see in these two guys? I mean, to me they are amazing fighters. I mean, and even if we talk about the lightweight division, it's super amazing. But let's talk about first on these two fighters, Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. How you see this fight will go?
honestly, I think I have Tank winning the fight. I've been in the gym when I used to train at Mayweather's gym. I used to be in the gym with Tank, and then when I was in the amateurs, I was doing like tournaments with Ryan. So I've single-handedly seen both of these men perform in one way or another throughout the years, and I think just with like knowing what I know about them and seeing them now, about to fight each other, finally, for a long time of everybody waiting for this fight to happen. I see, way because Tank is hungrier and, he works a lot harder and he has a lot more, I personally feel like the people who don't really have much coming up and like they have to work for everything that they earned, they keep this sort of hunger that makes them last a lot longer, that like, I guess not make unstoppable, but makes them a lot harder to stop, whereas like Ryan, he's living the lavish life right now, his daughters and his fiance and big house and, internet fame and all that. And that's nice and that's good. I'm happy for his success. But, I think he's at a level of comfort where he doesn't really need to, this is not all he depends on, if that makes sense. Like, this is not his go-to, like, whereas, like, this is a big payday for him. It will never hold the same weight to him that it'll hold to Tank. And I think ultimately, no matter how skilled Ryan is, that's going to be the determining factor in this fight. I don't think that, like, both guys are going to go in there and give it their all, but I see Tank taking it for sure.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be very tough for Ryan. I mean, with all respect to Ryan, I know he has the skills and everything, but I consider, personally, this is the hardest test for Ryan. I mean, Gervonta, we all know that, he might not be the fastest. To me, I consider, with great skills, but I might say, with all due respect to Gervonta, he might not be the fastest guy, but he's very composed. His timing and everything. I mean, the left hook that he has and everything. He's very patient, and we've seen that great example. And I'm a big fan of Leo Santa Cruz, how he fights and everything. Fast and throwing punches and everything like that. He was just covering and everything. Ducking, and when you realize that punch, I don't know how he capitalized everything, and boom, end of the fight. So there you go. He might not be the fastest guy, but he's very intelligent and composed. And when it comes to skills, I mean, great on that. And I think with, like I said, with all due respect to Ryan, that's gonna be a tough fight for Ryan. So we'll see if he comes victorious over Gervonta. But I don't know. I always said this. Whoever handles the first punch and continues standing up right there, I guess we was gonna see if that fight will go to decision or it's gonna end in a knockout. So I encourage everyone to stay tuned, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be one of those fights that we're gonna start remembering, you know. And of course we appreciate for the sports that this fight happened, and of course, you know, both to Tank and of course, you know, Ryan Garcia, because without them it could have been done, this fight that it's just a coming ahead on April 22nd. And another fight that it will be, you know, pretty much soon, it's about Canelo Alvarez, John Ryder. John Ryder just, you know, recently won against Danny Jacobs, a hard, you know, fighter as well. You know, I consider him, you know, a tough opponent, also a tough champion as well, Danny Jacobs. But eventually now he won his fight against, John Ryder won against Danny Jacobs, and it's gonna happen. Canelo is bringing this fight in Guadalajara, Mexico. What do you think about him? You know, right now, people are some of them, or a few, I would say, they criticize Canelo. He just lost against Dimitri Bivol, and now he's taking John Ryder. He should have gone for Benavidez. What do you think about right now the whole movement of Canelo?
Well, I'm gonna always like be an advocate for like styles make fights, and I think that, like, you know, just because Canelo took a loss in his last fight doesn't mean that just like everybody should count him out. You know what I'm saying? Canelo is like one of the best out right now, and you know, quite frankly, he has a lot to prove now. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody was beating him, and then he took a loss. So now he has a lot to prove getting back in that ring with Danny Ryder. And, you know, I think that when he goes in there, he's going to go in there with a vengeance. Like, it's the same thing as when he lost to Mayweather. He lost to Mayweather, and then once he got back in there, nobody could beat him. You know, so I think it'll be about the same thing, because Canelo has a really strong mindset. Like, he doesn't let a loss affect the ring. He's actually going to go out there and he's going to push harder, and he's going to show everybody, you know, not to doubt him, because he can see everything that we can see. He's reading all the comments. He's listening to all the interviews. He can see that everybody's doubting him, just like when he lost to Mayweather. And he's going to come out here with something to prove. And I feel like, you know, that's going to be a crazy fight, because, you know, whenever a man comes out with something to prove like that, you know, he always puts on a show.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think he has a lot of when it comes to he has to be compromised first with himself, and second, I guess, with his team, and of course the people around him, because eventually he spoke, you know, on a few interviews. He says that he's coming to Guadalajara, Mexico, bringing this fight to his people, and of course I feel like that's something, a kind of pressure on a fighter. I mean, I wouldn't like to be in his shoes, or anybody's shoes, because coming home and then having this moment, and God, I would say, you know, forbid, loses a fight in front of his people, that's a big pressure right there. So I don't know. I mean, it's something that I think he's also preparing himself mentally, and also preparing himself, you know, physically, because he has to handle this business in order that if he wins, we already know who's waiting at the door. And of course, if he comes victorious against John Ryder, and I'm pretty sure the next move, if Dimitri Bivol doesn't sign a rematch or anything like that doesn't happen, and then we might gonna see on September, David Benavidez and Canelo. If that fight happens, who wins in this fight, Czarina? I mean, we already seen Caleb Plant against Benavidez. Both fighters, you know, great. I mean, what can I say? Explosive, also very intelligent, because it's not a fight that they just went and boom, 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 and throw punches like crazy. They actually, you know, very intelligent, both of them. So, but eventually now, David Benavidez won on Caleb Plant, and he's just waiting his moment. I mean, I remember I interviewed Mr. Benavidez Senior, and he said we've been waiting for Canelo like long time ago. Eventually, politics and things like that doesn't, you know, allow us to make this fight happen. So eventually, we waiting on him, but finally he's there. So what do you think if let's say in case that Canelo wins over John Ryder, we might see, and the rematch on Dimitri Bivol doesn't happen. If a fight happens like David Benavidez and Canelo, who wins in this fight?
Oh, That's going to be a good fight. That's going to be a very, very back and forth kind of fight. I feel like it's not going to be easy for either one of them because right now, like, Canelo's one of the best out, and he has the power, and he has the speed, and he moves. But Benavidez is young, and he's hungry, and he moves, and he has power. Also, honestly, it's like a double-edged sword. They're basically the same fighter, you know, and it's like they both don't give up. They're both really stubborn in there, and it's, you know, it even raw. It might set up for, like, you know, for them to have 2 or 3 of the fights, you know, to get each other because both, like, they're both one same type of fighter where they both have, you know, that fire, but they're also both really, really strong punchers, you know, and they also have that speed that they right into that, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, I think the fact that Benavidez has been training, you know, for Canelo for so long, you know, there's a chance that, like, might be able to pick his style apart the longer that, you know, they wait for this fight to set up. You know, like, the more that he's seen Canelo get in here with many other fighters, with many other styles, you know, you get to see a person with all types of styles and how they are. You get to see more of their weaknesses. You get to see more of their strengths. You get to break them down more as a fighter. And I think the longer the fight takes to happen, the less, I guess I want to say the less mysterious that Canelo is going to be against Benavidez, you know, because he's been waiting. So he is studying and he's constantly watching. You can change, but because, you know, Canelo's a bit older now and, like, he's a vet now and he's been doing it a while, you know, his growth is not going to be as stupendous as being younger. So it's like, whereas he'll be able to, like, make adjustments for Benavidez, you know, it won't be as he maybe would have been able to make 5 years ago. So it's like, that's going to be a really crazy matchup. You know, I really couldn't even call that fight on who I think will win, but, like, I hope it happens soon.
I'm hoping too, you know, I mean, it's one of those fights that I know fight fans, they've been waiting. When it comes to Team Benavidez, they've been waiting for Canelo. I mean, Canelo in the beginning says that, you know, he don't fight with his own people. I guess that was just a something that in order to probably get rid of the questions that, you know, people have been asking, but eventually it has to happen in boxing because, I mean, I think that's a mandatory fight for the WBC is a mandatory thing that they have to consider it and make this fight happen. So hopefully that thing happens. And when it comes to your career, before we wrap it up with this interview, anything coming in your career, let us know. Is there any plan for a fight locally, or, you know, we seen you anywhere else? Tell us, Serena.
So I don't have a fight date set up right now, not yet. I want to get, you know, all the business part out of the way. So, you know, when we do announce a new fight, this will be my first fight. I'm excited. You know, now that we have this thing, you know, the limits are endless. We could go anywhere. We could do whatever, and we're gonna do it together. You know, we're gonna make that decision, and, you know, hopefully we can, you know, start traveling a lot more, getting to a lot more places, reaching bigger audiences, and, like, coming out to, like, you know, to the places where everybody's at that support me, you know, coming out to Florida, New York, New Jersey, you know, all these places in the States where, you know, you guys could get the tickets to, you know, come see and come support. Like, it's more than just over the phone, you know, or on interviews. Like, you guys, like, be there, like, because you guys have been supporting me for so long, and, you know, I'm really appreciative of, like, you know, the support that you give me and the support that everybody else gives me and has been giving me since I turned pro, because it's important. You know, obviously I'm ignorant. You know, that's what boxers are here for, to entertain. But at the end of the day, we wouldn't be where we were without people like you and, you know, all of the other people that help support me and, like, are here for me throughout my career. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the support I get from everybody else, and, like, the people that you bring, you know, from your channel, to watch me and, be there for me throughout my career. So I'm just grateful for it. And if I have a date set up, I'll definitely be letting everybody know about it.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'll be happy to hear your next fight, your next day. And when it comes to my behalf, thank you for giving me also the opportunity to speak to you. I know it's through the camera right now, but we're going to link probably one day face to face. And of course, as you mentioned, and I encourage every fight fan out there, if they see Czarina walking by, say hello, don't be afraid. I know sometimes people, they see, oh, that's the fighter, but they don't want to come close and say hi. I mean, as you mentioned, you are open to say hi, to talk to the people, because eventually without them you wouldn't be here. And you just mentioned you are thankful to have fans all over the world, because I'm pretty sure your fan base in Mexico, your fan base in Vegas, New York, and of course everywhere, California, everywhere, because when it comes to a fighter, they keep an eye on you. This one thing you just mentioned, people might don't think that Canelo is not reading comments, things like that. Guess what he's doing, and I'm pretty sure he has other people. But in your case, you are the person that you probably in your free time you see your phone and things like that. So those comments that eventually they posted on you and say, hey, Czarina, continue doing your movement, you continue working on your dreams, go for it. That's amazing for you, because that elevates more your energy and tell you, okay, I got people telling me continue. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I gotta say, congrats for you recently won on Mexico, and of course we hoping to see you soon, maybe in person. And when it comes to my behalf, like I said, I'm really thankful to having you, and I know it's not gonna be the last time, because eventually I'm in touch with you, and I'm proud. And I'm proud to say this, I support women's boxing, yourself, and everyone out there, because it's a strong movement. I see how every female athlete, they perform, they sacrifice time, tears, and sweat, and all of that. So why not support women's boxing, even though and the amateurs as well. So to me, it's always a pleasure to collaborate with you and say, continue in your movement. So Czarina, thanks for your time, thanks for everything. I will see you in the next one.
Of course. Bye. Have
Bye.
a good day.
Have a good one. Thank you.